I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
Are they crashing by accident?
Right.
Mission failure? Or on purpose?
Right.
Is called upon to investigate reports of unidentified flying objects.
We can learn to disabuse ourselves of some of these scientific dogmas if we just recognize we've got some limitations as well. There's a lot we still don't know.
Well, when you say
Think about that for a
spiritual, like what makes you draw that conclusion that they're spiritual?
What's the obvious? I mean, spiritual may be the wrong word. Supernatural.
My name's Liam Bodhi, and I'm here to talk to you about a very special UFO encounter that's maybe beyond Roswell, the most important UFO case that's ever been. There's a lot to tell about the who it was that was there in an alien sense, but before we get there, I want to talk about the word compassion. While times have changed and we're literally living in a different world now, if you look deeply into the case of Chris Bledsoe and his family, how they were shunned and ostracized by their church family members and hung out to dry by MUFON, when no one else would step up and show compassion, one of the great enlightened beings in Earth's history showed some. And since then, with that massive power of love and compassion, turned everything around for the Bledsoes. And it's an incredible testament to having compassion and love first in your hearts before the judge of ego comes to visit. With that, I'll turn it over to the divine force of the feminine light, known as Hathor. One must know that in the time of 2012, there was a great shift happening with the consciousness of humanity. There was, because of this, a great opening for other grand introduction to humans to be made at this time, because of the elevated energies of the time. While the energies are even more intense now, Earth wasn't quite at high enough vibration to allow for this kind of direct contact. Moreover, there wasn't the perfected human in the human consciousness that could match the resonance of a one-on-one encounter. While there were many ascended people over the years, there would have to be a person who carried certain genotypes and remembrances of their lifetimes within the DNA structure that would allow this type of contact I wanted to connect with in humanity. You see, there in the Akash of human knowing is the soul contract of a person who comes into life with, and the major things such as the contact that was made is one of the soul contracts and is encoded in the DNA like a dormant seed ready to sprout at the right time. Chris Bledsoe is part of a soul lineage that has lifetimes in a linear sense on many ascended races of non-human planets. Because of this, our different energetic signatures were close enough to resonance that we could have contact and it be received in a meaningful way. I am here in the same way that I work through Chris Bledsoe and offer a message of infinite wisdom and divine light. While I am a being that is moved into a full spectrum of the divine order of light, one must understand, for the listeners of this audio form, that ascension is more or less the same everywhere, on every planet, in every solar system. It is very human that you are humans with souls, and when you go to heaven, the soul goes to heaven and the angels greet you there. In reality, ascension works in the same way. Everywhere there are humanoid entities, wherever they exist. So, in the same way, a human soul living out a life in a physical manner, so are your alien neighbors in this galaxy. Souls are souls, and it doesn't matter what world it decides to incarnate, it's still a soul. It just has the physical experience of whatever they are incarnated in, and as such have a belief system that comes along with the culture of that world in which the life has lived in. The most common form of non-human intelligence is known to humans as angels, and while they do not call themselves angels, they are glad to help in every way they can, by whatever name is given to them, by whatever world in whatever galaxy is asking for their assistance. From a human experience, the soul living a human life can ascend as they expand their consciousness and light in a way that eventually, when aware of itself, can move into the consciousness of the soul instead of the human consciousness brain thought, and the two are merged as one. Enlightenment is a term used by humans to mean a person has realized their light potential within their soul consciousness. Their light body and chakras are upgraded to the experience more of the light and consciousness of the soul, and it's a magical state of being. So now imagine this happening on all planets, in all solar systems, all in very different, but the same time, in the same way, from a soul perspective. Just as angels are ascended beings, there are ascended enlightened beings that come from the oversoul consciousness level, that come from various parts of the galaxy or other galaxies who can interact with humans in the same intention and same light, help out in various ways. So while angels are non-human intelligence, there are many others that humans are just waking up to. And I, who humans call Hathor, am called by many names, and while there is no name that I can truly be defined by, I will go by that name in this context and this channeling. To give you a clue, if you look back into history, there's a reason that I'm depicted in the pictures next to a cow, and that orange fireball of the sun is depicted in between the horns of the cow in ancient Egyptian texts. The orange fireballs that Chris Bledsoe saw that night and continues to see are indeed the same sun-like fireball recorded in history so many years ago. While, like most periods of vast time that go by, the original story gets lost in translation over the years. I will elaborate. The people a long time ago were migrant and moved with the seasons, and at that time did not possess the agricultural knowledge that is known today. When cows were discovered to be domesticated was about the time I was first on the scene in humanity's past, around 12,000 years ago. At that time period, the world was quite different, and there was much more contact with entities like myself and humanity. Because of this teaching of agriculture that myself and others did for the people of the time, and the vessels that we would present ourselves in, the sacred cow was attributed as being a spiritually significant animal that brought wellness and good tidings to all who used them in the right way. Moving forward to the linear time of today, one of the themes that people look to fear about UFOs is the phenomenon called cattle mutilation. Why would benevolent beings do that to cows? One must understand that benevolent beings are not part of the system of destruction. Starting from a long time ago, thousands of years ago, there was an event that happened in a manner that caused the rise of malevolent alien species, technologies, and consciousnesses within the human consciousness, as well as physically on the planet. And the light that was on the planet was overtaken by darkness in the human consciousness that allowed for these entities of malevolent intent to be here. So, in your movies that you go to now, you have a sense of what if malevolent aliens came here? How would that play out? And so many of you, especially in the religious facilities who use fear as a motivating factor for those who attend to keep them feeling small, will look at the increase in UFO sightings as some kind of demon or malevolence. In reality, malevolent beings have been here for a long time, and over those thousands of years, beings of light have constantly been coming here trying to restore the light to the world and the human consciousness to a degree that they can return to the enlightenment that was once held by the human collective. The return of the divine feminine is the major factor that helped turn the tides of the human history into the mostly light existence it is today. 2012 was the year that marked this grand event, where there was a major shift in light in the consciousness of humanity, and there was more than 61% of light on the planet. And this marked a level of light that could not be stopped as humanity moved into a new system of light and consciousness. The encounter that took place with Chris Bledsoe and his son was part of this grand event and change in consciousness as part of a soul contract that played itself out, just as it was always going to. There were so many light beings that came through as enlightened masters on the planet and in the skies as non-human intelligence for thousands of years, raising the consciousness and raising the light on the planet into the now that we find ourselves in, the grand shift of humanity. You'll notice over time, cattle mutilation instances have gone down, and it's decreased because there's less and less malevolent beings here on Earth, and that are allowed to interact with it. This is the part of the overall light quotient that has been accumulated, and benevolent beings of light and benevolent alien friends helping humans get their light back. The cattle mutilations are much like a fear tactic that has symbolism to it, in a way stating, we're rebelling against the divine light of the feminine rising, and in that opposition, you can see the symbolism play out in the death of the cattle. Overcoming fear is a major theme when it comes to the experience of the Bledsoes, and continues to bear fruit with the people they interact with, and themselves included. Fear is a major hurdle that humans are overcoming in the now of your time. Chris Bledsoe experienced a type of stigmata because of a held belief from being a religious person that made part of him think that he needed to be punished for his sins that were never actually there. If one believes that their soul must be saved, and they must be punished, and they have to fear the devil, when one experiences the infinite divinity, their belief systems can actually cause a malady of sorts that cause them to live the hell they believed in. In reality, the more we move away from the belief of fear that social, religious, and other pressures have put on you, and move into love, compassion, acceptance of all people, and focus of love more than anything else, most of all of the maladies that people face would simply vanish because there wouldn't be an energetic space for it any longer. What is the divine feminine? It simply means a part of the divine light that is compassionate of other people, giving love to all people, no matter how different they are, and how different they may look or act from you, and how a mother loves her child unconditionally. The same goes for all beings, no matter what walk of life, ethnicity, or sexuality they express themselves as. Unconditional love and acceptance no matter the consequence of all beings, is the staple of the teaching of the divine feminine. Most people who went to a Christian church in their youth learned in Sunday school to love your neighbor, treat people like you'd want to be treated, don't judge others, and if we can live by those simple things and let go of the fear, hate, and judgment, and instead come from a place of the heart space of love, humanity will see a great change, and it's almost here. With this, I leave you in the light and the grace of the infinite, full spectrum of the light of the divine. And so it is.